evening. My name is Steve Worthington. I'm the mayor of University Place, and it's my honor to be able to convene the December 4th, 2023 City Council meeting for the City of University Place, calling that meeting to order. And let's see, Emmy, are we ready for the roll call?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Councilmember Keel is present. Councilmember Wood.
Present.
Councilmember McCluskey.
I'm here.
Councilmember Fleming.
Here.
Councilmember Belisi.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa.
Present.
Mayor Worthington.
Mayor Worthington, present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Very good, thank you. And this evening, Councilmember Belisi, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Can you please stand?
Thank you.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa makes a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Councilmember Belisi, I second.
We have a motion and approval for a second for approval of the agenda. Are there any objections to the approval of the agenda as distributed? Any objections or any changes? Seeing none, the agenda is approved as distributed. That brings us to some special presentations and special recognitions tonight. Councilman Belisi, you would be one of those folks we get to have for that opportunity. And so if you would join me up front here. And Councilmember Keel, you too. Hi, go for our special presentations. Good timing. So, yeah. If you'd like to join me up front. Okay, well, this is a very special night, and for us, people that have invested a good deal of their time, life's energy, and family time, and all the things that go with it to make our city better. And two people here have certainly done that for us. So we wanted to recognize those efforts. And one way we're going to get started with that is if you could turn your attention to the screen here. Yeah. All right, very good, don't you think? Very good, yes. So, of course, you have both invested more than 12 years of your life, your energy into this community to make it stronger and better. Many of us here on the councils have the opportunity to work with you in achieving that. And we'll have some photos and things in a little bit. It's impossible to capture all of that in 3 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever that was. But I think you may find a copy of that in your mail at some point. Yeah. So if you can't, for those of you who may not be necessary, just to be clear, what we want to do tonight is recognize Caroline Bellisi and Kent Keel. This is their last night at a regular city council meeting as a council member, unless they choose to run another time. There is always that. But this is the end of their regular terms for regular meetings. And if we have a special meeting, come on back between now and January. But we do certainly want to recognize their good efforts. And we have some more formal things. And there might be an opportunity as I get done with the formal presentations, if either of you have something you'd like to say, there'll be that chance. So we have presentation I'll be making. Let me read the proclamation for Councilmember Bellisi. City of University Place Proclamation. Whereas since the city's incorporation, Caroline Bellisi has driven by a compelling desire to contribute towards solving unmet community needs and to participate in the growth of social, environmental, educational, public safety, and economic issues. And whereas Caroline Bellisi was appointed as councilperson pro tem for the City of Council position number 7 on February 16th, 2010, and was elected to the City of University Place City Council position number 7 in 2011. She was appointed as mayor pro tem for 2 years and mayor for 2 years, and was served with continued enthusiasm throughout 2023. And whereas during her tenure, Caroline understood and worked to foster an environment in which the community and businesses and the city work together to build a foundation for long-term prosperity of University Place. And whereas to promote such an environment, Caroline served in a variety of appointments, some of which included the Pierce County Regional Council, Pierce County Cities and Towns, Pierce County Mayors and Executive and Finance Committee. She participated in the city's Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs Relations, Community Connector Program, the 16th CAB, Chair of the City Commission Interview Committee, and the 25th Anniversary Celebration Subcommittee. Caroline is a member of the Association of Washington Cities, where she earned her Certificate of Municipal Leadership, and she is also a member of the National League of Cities. And whereas prior to Caroline's run for City Council, she served in the city's Planning Commission since 1995, chaired the commission for several years, and served in the Citizens Advisory Committee for Chambers Bay Master Site Plan. And whereas Caroline has demonstrated in countless practical ways her deep and genuine love for our community. Now, therefore, the City Council, the City of University Place, wishes to extend its appreciation and commendation to the Councilmember Caroline Bellisi for her numerous years of resolute, selfless, exemplary service, and offer its best wishes for many more happy and productive years in the future, proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, December 4th, 2023. In case you'd like to put that on your walls at some point. And then also, of course, this evening, City of University Place proclamation. Whereas for more than 10 years, Kent Keel has been driven by compelling desire to contribute toward solving unmet community needs and to participate in the growth of social, environmental, educational, public safety, and economic issues. And whereas Kent Keel was elected to the City of University Place Council, position number 2, in 2012. He was appointed as Mayor Pro Tem for 2 years and served as Mayor for 2 years. And he has served with continued enthusiasm and devotion through 2023. And whereas during his tenure, Kent understood and worked to foster the environment in which the community, businesses, and city work together to build a foundation for long-term prosperity of University Place. And whereas to promote such an environment, Kent served in a variety of appointments, some of which include the Pierce County Regional Council, Pierce Transit Board of Directors, Pierce County Cities and Towns, Pierce County Mayors and Executive, Sound Transit Board of Directors, and Finance Committee. He participated in the city's Legislative and Intergovernmental Relations, Community Connector Program for the 16th CAB, Community Vision Subcommittee. He also co-chaired the 2015 U.S. Open Task Force. Kent is a city member of the Association of the City of Washington Cities. He's earned the Advanced Certificate of Municipal Leadership, and he is also a member of the National League of Cities. And whereas Kent has served as a member of the Associated Washington Cities Board of Directors and eventually served as its president from 2021 to 2022. He also served as a member of the National League of Cities Board of Directors in 2023 and was appointed chair of the Information Technology and Communications Committee for that agency. Whereas Kent has demonstrated in countless practical ways his deep and genuine love for the community, now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place wishes to extend its appreciation and commendation to Councilmember Kent Keel for his numerous years of resolute, selfless, and exemplary service, and offers its best wishes for many more happy and productive years in the future. Proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, December 4th, 2023. Congratulations, and thank you so much through the years there. So, Caroline, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Well, we also have some plaques that I'll pass to you on the way out for your desk. Yeah. We do, but we're going to wait for that. First, would you have anything either of you would like to say, Caroline?
I just want to say this journey has been something that I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever accomplish or do. I started in early 1990s when there was a community meeting at the high school asking what the future of University Place was to be. It was the time when growth management started. And I never, when I attended that meeting, never envisioned that I would become so passionate about the city that I lived in. University Place has been the longest place I have ever lived in my life. I was a military brat, so every 2 or 3 years, we were moving to new locations. And when I had an opportunity to start planning for the University Place, I went home and I asked my husband, I said, "This sounds so interesting. What do you think?" And him being a Tacoma boy said, "I don't want to go to Tacoma. I don't want us to incorporate. If you are passionate about this and you want to see where it takes us, I will support you." And without his support, I wouldn't be where I am today. He and my boys and my parents have been fully supportive of everything I've done. They set me straight when I go awry, and they help keep me focused on what it meant to be a city council member, what it meant to be involved in the community. And without that, I wouldn't be here today. And I want to thank the citizens that have stopped me at the grocery stores to ask me questions, that email me, that telephone me, and ask what's going on, because that you have control over what happens here in council. The 7 people that sit here are the same 7 people that you see in grocery stores, at restaurants, and they are all open to hearing from you. And the biggest regret I have is that we don't typically have a full house. We don't have people here talking to us and sharing their ideas. And I challenge our citizens to come forward, to start participating. By participating at our commissions, where the work starts before it gets to council. Provide your input there. Participate in community outreach meetings. Participate in the surveys. But better yet, show yourself in front of the volunteers that are on our commissions. Come to the council meetings and have an impact. And you might develop a love for your community again and want to see the great things that this city has to offer. It's been the best journey, and it's a bittersweet departure, but we need a new set of eyes and ears on this community. So it's time for me to step away, but I am not going to be gone. I will still be here, and I will still be setting council straight. So thank you.
Well, I certainly believe you, that last statement. to say, you know, we have these pins, these little hearts that say, I heart UP. I love UP. I mean, to me, for me, that is a gross understatement. I really love this town. I mean, I can't tell you how and when that kind of flipped in me and got in me, but I have it. You know, spending 10 years on the school board really helped me get grounded in the community. I mean, if you it's kind of different from here, where not a lot of people kind of come, but at a school board meeting, it's packed. Because you're talking about people's children. And I really learned a lot about our city during those 10 years I was on that school board. Met a lot of people, talked to a lot of folks, and really understood kind of the fabric of UP. Because for a long time, that's all we had was the school district. That was the only thing that was incorporated. And just learned a lot from folks dealing with that. This building is the reason why I ran for city council. On the school board, the schools do so many great things. Building schools, teaching the kids, all that stuff back in there, and it was just great. And I was really lamenting about not having this building. And my friends finally told me, Kent, either run for the city council or shut up. you know, and I got the fire in my belly to want to be on this council because I love this city. And I'm very happy that we're standing here now in this building, in this edifice, and looking at all the things that are up and down this town center, you know, from Whole Foods to the other end, to the park that we're about ready to build down the other end. I am so happy because we did that. And I just want to thank Steve, you and your staff for the work that you all do every day. I know you put up with me asking a bunch of dumb questions. You put up with me coming late to meetings that I was supposed to be in or not showing up at all because I was like engaged at Sound Transit or AWC or NLC something, you know. But I appreciate that. I'm gonna miss being here. I can't say that I'm not, because I am. But it is the right thing for me to do. For me, 12 years is long enough. I think the things that I wanted to do coming here, those things got done. And so now it's time to go do something else. I'm leaving the council, but I won't be. Hopefully, I won't be out of your sight. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you both. We'll be talking some more yet. But at this point, I'd like to call about a 5-minute recess, and the council would like to come down here for some photo ops, and anyone else for that matter. We're going to recess for 5 minutes. Okay. we're back in our regular session. And we're going to move on to public comments. And it's this portion of the evening when we invite our people who are interested in talking, making a statement to council to make that statement. We can do that in person with people in the room. We can do it through the use of our virtual meeting with the helps of Teams. I'm going to ask Emmy to tell us a bit about the rules for comments, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This time is set aside for the public to address the City Council on any issue not scheduled for public hearing or council consideration. State law prohibits the use of this forum to promote or oppose any candidate for public office or ballot measure. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please provide your name and address for the record.
Very good, thank you. And this evening we have 4 different individuals who have signed up ahead of time. If you haven't signed up or would like to make a comment, we're welcome to do that once we get through the list of people who've signed up. Additionally, there'll be an opportunity. We'll see if there's anyone online once the people in the room have had their say. See if there's anyone online that has something they'd like to say. With that at the top of the list, first on the list is Martha Hunter. And I would invite Ms. Hunter to come forward. You want to take a seat there. And let's see. If you want to keep that mic pretty close to your lips, as it turns out.
How's that? Definitely loud enough.
Yeah, and if you could start with your name, and we'd like to hear your address too, if possible.
My name is Martha Hunter. My address is 3130 Tahoma Place West. So good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Martha Hunter, and I live with my partner, Clayton Denault, at 3130 Tahoma Place West. We recently had a bizarre encounter with someone on our property and a series of unprofessional interactions with the city. I am here today as I tried to escalate internally with the management of code enforcement and received no response. I would like to share my story with you. Clayton and I had just begun a 2-week trip in Ireland to visit family when a neighbor notified us a City of UP truck had driven down our dead-end alley and put a notice on the windshield of our 2 vans stating they would be towed in 24 hours for parking in a city right-of-way. We were shocked to receive these notices because we had parked in the same place for 10 years. One car was parked in front of our 1930 garage, the other parked next to it at the dead end. We also know the previous owners of the house parked there dating back to at least 1998. We couldn't figure out why we were getting these code violations now. Clayton remembered someone approaching him in our upper driveway before we left for vacation and telling Clayton he had to move his van because Clayton's van was on his property. This was concerning to Clayton because he instantly thought his van had been stolen and relocated like his previous van. None of this made sense. The same day the notices were left, I called the code enforcement officer to find out what was going on. Why is this now an issue? It was repeated to me I needed to move the vans as both were on city property. In addition, I was told my garage is considered a non-conforming structure because the city now thinks it is on city property. And I didn't get a permit for my deck, which, my bad, I'm now working with the city on. I kept asking why these are issues now and wasn't given any reason, although it was reiterated I wouldn't have to tear down my garage. I was told I would get an email by the end of the week with the details of the code infractions. 2 weeks later, I finally get the details via email. The right-of-way violation has now changed to a blocking alley violation. Please keep in mind this is a dead end. In addition, I'm sent information about non-conforming structures, deck permits, and a new violation for being a public nuisance has been added. We later find out our neighbor below us would possibly like to build an ADU in his backyard. We don't know for sure. He currently doesn't have access into the alley from his backyard except for a pedestrian gate which was inaccessible due to blackberries growing over it, which are still sitting there for more than a month after he ripped them out. It appears he wants to build the ADU in his backyard and be able to access it through the alley rather than his own driveway. Our neighbor can see our van would be blocking his access. Instead of approaching us politely, introducing himself, and explaining to us what his plans are, he thought he would use the code enforcement officer to get his way. It worked. In my opinion, it appears the city is comfortable contributing to the vindictiveness of our neighbor and being the attack dogs for the neighbor. I have one small paragraph left.
I know we've already exceeded our time, but it seems as though this would be the time to stop in my mind.
Okay.
But thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And hearing your
Thank you for
comments.
listening.
Certainly. Appreciate hearing about the issue. Next on our list is Clayton McNutt. Nope. Okay. Got it? All right. Actually, if you wanted that last paragraph, this could be it. Okay. Thank you. And then we have James Fox. Mr. Fox, I invite you to come up, have a seat, and please share your thoughts. Okay. Please, if you could start with your name and address, please.
That?
Oh, if you could state your name and address, if you
yeah.
would, please.
Okay. My name is James Fox, and my address is 3417 Olympic Boulevard West.
Thank you. And what would you like to tell the council this evening?
Okay. It's been bothering me for a while on our Cirque Park, the skateboard park. We need security cameras on the skateboard area. Graffiti is just going crazy on that. The et cetera garbage, they broke the entrance gate going into the park area, so we need cameras, and also we need cameras by the dumpsters, because they have been dumping debris and garbage and all et cetera there, and everybody's complaining on that. That's walking by. It's for like joggers, and so we just got to do that. And cameras we need. The guards, maybe we can get some security guards in that area to focus on all our problems.
Good. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Fox?
That's about it for now.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate you sharing your ideas and thoughts there. There's our
thanks.
timer.
Thanks.
Good timing.
Thanks.
I did also, Mr. Fox, I know you provided me with a letter earlier this evening. I've made a copy of that letter, and each of the council members has a copy. Just wanted to make sure.
That's why I gave you that letter, so we can have we can have two papers.
They've all got one. Just want to make sure you knew that. So,
Okay, very good. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
And thank you for your help, too. That brings us to Sierra Boyce. If I may have gotten the first name wrong, please help me if I did.
You got it right. And I'll repeat it for you. So
Thank you.
I'm Sierra Boyce, owner of HotWorks University Place. There are quite a few familiar faces that have stopped by or have been members. And I am here today just to introduce, we are a new business to town. And it was by great recommendation that by Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa to come in and introduce myself and our business, and then also meet you guys. So that's one of the reasons I'm here. And I told him, he said, "You're not going to do it." And I said, "Yes, I am." And here I am. So HotWorks is a 24-hour infrared fitness studio. We offer wellness and fitness all under one roof. So all of our workouts are done inside the infrared sauna, whether you choose to do one of our many options. We have 10 plus workouts, hot yoga, hot Pilates, hot cycle, or you can come in and do hot lay, where you just lay there and enjoy the infrared sauna. So that's a few of the things that we offer within HotWorks, but also we've started to really get involved in the community. We've done donations to local schools, and just today we donated to Families Network Unlimited. So it's really nice to be getting to know the community. I'm not from here, and it's been very welcoming. The other thing I want to compliment is we had a great experience in our build out with the permitting department and city planning. They met with us, they met with our engineers, and it was very seamless. So I'm sure that that's not complimented often. So I want to make sure you guys know we have had a great experience, and we have a member that works in the front area, and she's been wonderful and keeps me in the loop of things that are going on and helps us be a good steward to University Place as well. And lastly, I have free workouts for anybody that would like to come and try HotWorks or Hot Lay. And that's all. I'm Sierra with HotWorks.
Well, thank you so much, and appreciate the invitation, and welcome to University Place.
Thank you.
Yeah. Excellent. Awesome. All right. Is there anyone else in tonight's audience that would like to make a comment? Anyone else before we move on to our online folks? Okay. All right. And Let's see. With that, is there anyone online that would like to essentially raise their hand to be recognized? And Emmy, I always rely on you to help us on this particular aspect of it. Do you see anybody there?
I don't see anyone, Mayor.
All right. Very good. Well, with that, I'm going to call our public comment session closed, and we'll continue on with our agenda. Yeah, that's, I think, where I am at the moment on that. And that brings us to the consent agenda, and I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa makes a motion to approve the consent agenda as proposed.
Motion for approval. Is there a second?
Councilmember Belisi with my final agenda approval.
All right. There we are. Well, very good. So we do have a final second or something like that.
Final second.
All right. And with that, are there any objections to the approval of the consent agenda? Any objections? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved as distributed. And that moves us on to council consideration, where we'll be, let's see, we have our University Place legislative agenda coming to us. Mr. Sugg, are you starting that one out for us?
I am, Mayor, and tonight we're going to continue the discussion on the legislative agenda that's on for action. There's a resolution in your packet. If you remember, at last meeting on November 20th, I believe there was council consensus on the range of items that we discussed at that meeting, with the exception of we didn't have time for the items that were offered up by Councilmember McCluskey and Councilmember Wood, and I think tonight you wanted to provide time for them to talk about those items, give them an opportunity to talk about those items. Also, before I go on to that, at last, on November 20th, when we met, we did have an item in there. It was more of looking into the future. We looked at an item requesting funding for ADA updates for websites and mobile devices. This is a Department of Justice requirement that's still in proposed. They're in rulemaking process. So until they do final proposed rules, we've pulled it for now. So there was more of a heads up for council at the last time we met, and it's just not ready for your action at this point. So that's been pulled. The rest of the items are the same items that you saw last time, rearranged and tried to in groupings and headings that as you see on this resolution. So if you look at the resolution, there is 5 areas, starting off with enhanced public safety, and those items are all from the last time we met. Number 2 is support local government, and there's 4 bullet items there. I'll mention that the 3rd bullet item there, increased state shared funding for city road maintenance and arterial landscaping, is an idea that was offered up by Councilmember McCluskey. And then under items 3, 4, and 5, those are items that offered up by those Councilmembers McCluskey and Councilmember Wood. Under support of sustainable housing, the 1st bullet item, Councilmember McCluskey's offered up explore the expansion of tax exemptions for retired seniors and low-income homeowners to aid in staying in place. And then the 2nd bullet item under number 3 is offered up by Councilmember Wood at request state tax relief to support construction of messy middle housing, condominiums, et cetera, that can be owned, not just rented. And then items 4 and 5, under maintain local control over community planning, that bullet item is provided by Councilmember Wood. And the 5th and last one is modify sex offender placement laws. Again, Councilmember Wood offered up that proposal. So those are the items in your packet. This resolution is the total sum of what the council is being asked to consider tonight. And with that, Mayor, I'm going to turn it back and to the council.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sugg. Appreciate the recap on that as we get ready for our discussion. And so ultimately, we're looking for passage or amendment to the resolution as proposed that will establish our legislative policies for this upcoming session in Olympia. Excuse me. And it'll also, I think, give us some direction on the federal capital program as well. Two of our council members have proposals there, and I wanted to invite either one to talk about those, whoever would like to start with that. So,
would you like me to start?
yes, that just you have a proposal there associated with reducing property tax rates in certain classes of individuals, and if you could tell me.
Motion and second first.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, indeed. How about a motion then? Is there a
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa makes a motion to adopt the resolution established in the city's legislative priorities for 2024.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Councilmember Belisi, I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We now have a proper order and something on the floor for us to discuss, as it should
All right.
be. Yeah. Councilmember McCluskey.
Thank you. I was a little thrown off initially because I didn't see any council comments on here, but we'll move on to the legislative policies. And one of the reasons why I wanted the sustainable housing to be noted on our legislative priorities is because as I was on SHAPE for a long time, well, a year, I guess that's a long time, right? But prior to that, I was going into different breakout sessions, some locally in Tacoma. There's been several programs and informationals for governmental bodies in regards to home affordability, mortgage, financing, and all those things, and also some of the breakout sessions nationally and on the state level that we have all been a party to. There's been an ongoing thread going through there in regards to seniors that are on fixed incomes, trying to sustain their housing in place, which we know the longer they can sustain themselves in their house, the healthier they are socially, physically, set to extend their lives, X amount of years. I don't know. You can go on Blue Zones and figure out that function. But it is a benefit not only to the seniors' health and well-being, but to society and their community as well, because they can remain engaged longer, and also the social services to support them isn't as expensive over time. So with that, if we can look at all the comprehensive taxes that seniors pay, not just property taxes, but how much are the utilities? Now, we don't have control over that, but maybe our state legislator has some sort of action or item that they can do so that their expenses are capped so they can have enough discretionary money to sustain themselves in their homes. And looking at seniors who are in condominiums as well, regardless of whether they own or rent, but primarily to sustain them in their residence. And so that was why I wanted to place this on the list. I know the housing issue is a heightened priority at the state anyway, so if you can dovetail this into it and get it more of a comprehensive visioning of it rather than just supporting them in the property taxes, because they have higher medical expenses as well. They also have food issues. Call their homes sometimes food deserts where they can't get enough nourishment and nutrition with that, so have access to services that way. But anyway, that was my primary reason for bringing this on the University Place City Council's list. And also, as I was doorbelling this summer, lastly, there's several issues and concerns that citizens that are looking at or approaching retirement would love to stay in the beautiful city of University Place, but they really don't see that in their future. They'll they're looking at having to sell and move elsewhere so that their retirement funding and their pension planning that they have done for all those years is not keeping up with the cost of living. They'll have to move elsewhere, which, you know, that's sad, and I would like to change that picture and vision for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So, and I appreciate getting some context in this. That's helpful. It's hard to capture all of that in the written proposal. I'm going to just try and paraphrase a little bit just to make sure that I think I've got it. So it isn't necessarily a reduction in property taxes because the state already provides that. It's more looking for a method for reduction and a broad array of perhaps local taxes, utility taxes being an example, for certain qualified seniors, probably income qualified would be my guess. Does that sound
Right, and it's not always the AIM, but people that maybe are a little more affluent that are struggling as well. So to broaden that spectrum as well, I had conferred with our city attorney, Mr. Kaiser, and we brainstormed several different statements here, and we have come into the agreement that the one that is in our packet is broad enough to capture, you know, some of, you know, it's pretty comprehensive, what I'm talking about, but to get it down to the bottom line so that we could see the helicopter sort of picture of that going forward.
okay? All right. Thank you. Let's see. And so with that, I think procedurally, I'm going to invite Councilmember Wood to also comment on his proposal as well. So,
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to start from bottom up with number 5. We all remember fairly recently the issue with the level 3 sex offender who was placed in our community. And it was pretty clear to me that the process by which this person was placed was inadequate. Was placed next door to a school with an in-home tutoring academy. It was placed with no notification to the immediate community other than the Sheriff's Department website. And I think there is room for the state to look at, and the other part of it is that the city had zero input on the process. And so if the state is the one who has control of the process, then I think that we need to ask the state to look at modifying their laws to at the minimum increase notification procedures, and also really look at where they place offenders, right next door to a tutoring academy with children in it on a daily basis just makes no sense to anybody. And so I would like us to look at that. Now, the next two going up, which is number 4 and then like 3, part 2, they're really kind of tied to the same thing. The first one was request state tax relief to support construction of missing middle housing. And the second one was oppose legislation that lessens the tools and flexibility that local governments have to accommodate population growth. They came from the same thought process, which is when the state regulated us, the entire state, communities, and took away a lot of our autonomy in how we do zoning codes as a city. And the fourth one was to oppose the imposition of these codes. The third one was a good idea, saying maybe this is something the state could look at instead of imposing codes on us. Why don't we look at maybe a state, removing some of the state taxes on building. For those two, personally, I think we need more of a discussion as a council before I feel comfortable putting them here on the agenda. So if we want to pull them from the agenda, I would not be offended. But if we feel comfortable in putting some verbiage in here, either as is or combining them into one statement that just says, ask the state to focus on alternative means other than imposing local regulations on the local jurisdictions to promote missing middle housing, which is one of their goals. I support that goal. But I think they've done a lot already. And I would prefer that if they want to continue promoting missing middle housing, that they look at something at state level, such as reducing taxes. And that's the genesis of those two comments. Pending questions, that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
okay, thank you. All right. So we have a motion to adopt as distributed. The two council members that were providing alternative or rather additional legislative thoughts have had a chance to explain what their ideas and thoughts were, with what the context was they're looking for. Do we have, at this point, I would say we're prepared for discussion or potential amendments, as the case may be. And let's see, this will be subject to public comment as well. I'm just trying to, at this point, the way we should proceed, in my view, and Mr. Kaiser, feel free, but my thoughts would be we would entertain questions from council. Once we've satisfied our questions, not a discussion of the issue, but just clarifying questions between us or of staff. And then we would take public comment, and then we'd come back to have a discussion about the merits of the issues. So does that seem that everybody understands that? So any clarifying questions? Councilmember Keel.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you both for explaining further your positions on what you're offering. Question I have for clarification: are you offering any changes to what's already written down? And I know, Councilman Wood, you were saying this or that. And the mayor said it's there as written, but I don't know if I heard that we were trying to move it as is written, unless you have some changes.
So I guess I will answer that with I wish we had had more time as a council to consider this before it was coming up for vote. I'd rather have had an opportunity to discuss it, study session or whatever, which we had, but we ran out of time 2 weeks ago. And right now, as they are written, the 3B and 4, I am not 100% comfortable with the way they are written, as that being an effective communications tool to our legislators about what we're looking for. I'd be happy to, quickly draft something while the conversation continues that I can propose to the group if you're interested in that. But really, I guess my comment or complaint for next year is we give ourselves a little more time to get this done. Because right now, I feel like we're trying to jam something in that I don't know how many people are comfortable with, to be honest.
Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, to Councilmember Wood, are you offering an amendment to pull that portion from the bill before us?
I would be interested in knowing what the rest of the council thinks. If they're not comfortable, yes, I will offer an amendment to pull that portion. But if there's people who would like to see that subject in there, I can look at rewriting or keeping as is.
Yeah, my only comment with that is, as the author of that, if you're not comfortable with it, I certainly wouldn't be comfortable. So my recommendation would be is to pull that as an amendment.
So when we get to that phase of the discussion, then we could entertain an amendment at that stage. Okay.
Thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember McCluskey.
Right. Thank you. I had just a point of clarification and position statement on the modification of the sex offender placement laws. Are we, I know there is some action going at the state level through our current representative, Levitt. So do we really need this as a city priority, legislative priority? Or can we do that outside of that as a city and help support our Representative Levitt going forward with that? So I would like to hear your thoughts on that.
Well,
and
yeah.
Is that's kind of out of order, isn't it?
Sure. So if I may, my understanding just is an issue of fact here, and from staff is that there may be some proposal, but there is yet to be any proposal. So do I have that correct? Yeah. So there's not a specific proposal from Representative Levitt at this point. It's anticipated it could happen.
Okay, now with that clarification, I would leave that on because I think it's an urgent issue in our city and in state as well. It doesn't impact just our city because there is definitely something. Well, probably when they pass it, they had good intentions, but in the outcome and how it's vetted in reality is two different things. So I think it needs to be definitely relooked at. And so the other thing I would like to clarify is on my proposal to support sustainable housing is that tax exemption is comprehensive, not just property tax. And it's something that the state legislators in their wheel can control and do, hopefully.
So as we were saying, you were saying, yes, it's comprehensive. It's not just the issue of real estate.
Just wanted to re-clarify
Yeah,
that.
tax. Okay, good. Any other questions before we move on to public comment? Okay, let's, now at this point, so at this stage, though, we
Point
will...
of order.
Certainly.
Mayor, I understand trying to accommodate proposals, but I believe that should have been done, as Councilmember Wood said, the study session is something where we would have studied it and moved forward. I feel like, bringing proposals, this is supposed to be consideration,
Right.
and already as set.
But okay.
And so let me just finish my thought here. And so I believe that it's out of order for us to be trying to, and I don't know how you're going to get comment when it's just a proposal. It's not an actual motion to say, with a second saying, we're in something that's actually, I'm really confused as to the process is actually off track, and I'm not comfortable with this particular, where we're asking the public to comment on proposals that we have not yet even decided what that looks like and means, and whether we even want to have it today. As we said, we might even pull it. So why would we want public comment on something we're going to pull? Thank you.
All right, thank you. So let me take a stab at this, but staff, feel free. So we've had 2 study sessions on this issue. On both the study sessions, these proposals were in the binder, and they were scheduled to be discussed at both study sessions. However, the clock was stopped in those meetings, and we had assured the advocates for these proposals that they had some opportunity to present them to us. And this is tonight, and it is tonight because it's our last opportunity to set the legislative agenda before the clock runs out on that process. So, and we've extended this on several occasions. We've cut the debate a little bit short previously to accommodate other pressing issues. It happens. But please, if someone, staff...
Your resuscitation lines up fairly closely to what I was about to say. The one difference being, at this point, you don't have any motions yet to amend any specific language of the resolution that's in front of you. However, it's been hinted that there may be an amendment. But given the nature of where we're at now, is probably an appropriate point in time to take public comment prior to any amendments.
Okay. Before we take the amendments, we want to hear if the public has any thoughts about what's been proposed and if it needs to, in their views, be amended further. So, public comments all right then? Off we go. So I would invite members of the public to comment either here in the room or online. The instructions and online comments are on your screen. And if there's anyone who would like to comment on this action before council moves to its consideration, discussion and consideration, please come forward and give us your thoughts. Anybody here? Not seeing a rush for the mic, but it's okay. And anyone online? Okay. All right, so good. Well, with that, I think we'll move on to consideration. Councilmember Wood, I can't. Okay, Councilmember Wood, you're recognized.
Mayor, if this is the opportunity to offer an amendment, I'd like to do so.
Please.
Get a motion first, I think.
Do we still need a motion?
have a primary motion.
You already have a motion.
Okay. So I would like to move to strike 2 of my comments, which is the second part of paragraph 3 and all of paragraph 4. I just don't think we're prepared as a council to offer that as a thought-out legislative proposal.
Okay. Is there a second on the proposed amendment?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the amendment? Any discussion? If not, excuse me, Councilmember Keel.
Thank you. Mayor. So I won't be here with the discussion, but is there, if we strike it, is the thought to come back now and offer something new tonight or something new later on, or it's just going to be gone and it's going to, okay.
My interpretation is it would be gone from the legislative agenda for this coming session.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
If it pops up again, so be it.
Mayor?
Councilmember McCluskey.
Yes, thank you. I am not in favor of striking number 3.
3, part 2.
Part 2 of 3.
Part
Just the second
2.
bullet.
Yeah. Oh, all right. That makes me happier.
Yeah.
Okay,
Councilman.
just- all right.
Councilmember Belisi.
Thank you.
Item number 4, opposing legislation that lessens tools and flexibilities for local government. I think some sort of statement should be made because our state legislators will continue to offer their interpretation of how we should be doing our jobs. And I think if we put the line in the sand and say enough is enough, maybe they will start listening to us about lessening their requirements and taking away the rights of our local citizens for their property and our rights as a city council to work with our citizens to determine our future. So I think it should be there as a statement. The other one I don't have objections to because that requires a little bit more of the thought process of what it is we're talking about and possibly a proposed plan of action.
Okay. Other thoughts in terms of the proposed amendment? Other discussion on the proposed amendment before we vote? Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa.
I do want to say, thank you, Mayor, is that the reason I second that and would be, I think it would be a good process to allow this to be vetted a little bit further, and then with our intent, hopefully we will get one of our council members to be on the AWC Legislative Committee that and we've talked about this before, where some of these issues really, it's the strategy is to have it where it's more, other cities feel the same way through AWC versus one city. And because if this is a big deal because this impacts many other communities and not just UP. So if we want to really get some control on this, some traction on this, then we should be looking at how this can be supported from the regional at county level or even more like at the state level through AWC. And I think that these are the ones that can actually be explored with AWC Legislative Committee for next time. And that's the reason I think that's a good way to deal with this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Just a second. Any first-timers? Okay, Councilman McCluskey.
All right, thank you. Well, I think it's great if the AWC can duplicate some of these things, but this is from our city, and this is the position of our council members, and so I think that makes a statement on the local level. And if we marry and mirror what's on AWC and the other communities, I think it will just augment that as well.
All right. Anything else before we take a vote? Councilmember Belisi.
I'd just like to offer one final idea. I concur that it should go through AWC, but as we all know, and from my years of experience here, things are rather slow. And this at least would put our current legislators representing us on notice that we don't like the actions that they have taken this last legislative session. And it supports what our community has said. They don't appreciate what the requirements that they have placed on us. By the time AWC gets done with their work with 280 some cities, we may have something in place by next legislative session. It may be too late. There's things in the works now. And then to top it all off, our federal government, Marilyn Strickland, our senator, has proposed legislation that would pretty much mimic what our state legislature has done as far as densification requirements. So, if we don't get on board now and at least make a statement that University Place is not happy with what our legislators have done to us, we may be behind the eight ball and have some legislation that we're not going to be too happy with.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Wood.
Mayor, I'd like to propose that when we come to that we separate those two bullets out, the 3, Part 2, and the 4, to be addressed separately as a council.
Let me check with our parliamentarian.
we can do
That's
that.
actually where I thought the conversation might be going. If there's consent amongst council to split the two questions, you can proceed that way and then take a up or down vote on what we're calling 3B and then on 4.
Point of
Councilmember
order.
Fleming.
You have a motion on the floor.
You do.
So you have to withdraw that motion and then reintroduce.
You could do it that way, or you could cut to the chase and say,
I think we were headed to a consent to split it into two motions, but if we want to go back, we can do that.
we could go back.
So-
I just go.
I like to clean.
All right, so it does the second, does the guess we go to primary
If you want
first.
to go into if you want to go into the then parliamentary procedure, because the motion now belongs to the body, you would need to vote. Presumably, you would vote no, then reintroduce each of the motions piecemeal.
All right, everybody,
Or
so just, I want you to restate that just a little slower. I want to make sure everybody gets it.
You would then take a vote on the motion previously offered by Councilmember Wood to strike what we're calling 3B and 4 from the legislative agenda. Presumably, council would vote no on that based on where the discussion is going if you want to split that. Then the very next motion will be a motion to strike 3B and or, depending on what you want to do with 3B, and or strike 4. But then take them separately.
All right, so,
Two separate motions.
Yeah.
Right.
so
But you
does
do have
everybody-
the motion to amend on the floor.
So I'm about to call for a vote on the motion that was proposed by Councilmember Wood, which affects those two issues. Everybody understand what you're
But-
voting on?
But
Yes.
to clarify one more time, if you want to take them piecemeal, the vote would be a no motion, a no vote.
Okay.
Is that
a-
a vote?
No, it's not. But a yes will strike both of them.
Can I do this as a voice vote, or do
Yes.
we need? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those, oops, sorry about that. Oh, got me as an aye. All those opposed, say no?
No.
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 Oh, it fails. All right. Good enough. Then we now can go back to the primary motion and decide if we want an amendment. So, is there, Councilmember Wood?
I'd like to propose a motion to strike 3B
3B.
from the legislative agenda.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to strike 3B. Is there any discussion on, that's a proper motion? We understand what we're voting on. Is there any discussion before we take a vote? Okay, we're going to do a voice vote again. All those in favor of striking 3B, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
So, we're going to do by my ear, which is not a good ear, the ayes have it, but I think I'm finding myself into,
The ayes have it.
okay. You're going to accept the ayes have it?
Yes.
Nobody's going to challenge that outcome? All right, the ayes have it. Motion is now amended, 3B is struck. Now we're back to the primary motion. Is there discussion on the primary motion? The adoption of the legislative proposal as amended. Any discussion there? I don't see Councilmember Wood.
I'd just like to say that the 3A, consider proposing an amendment if, Councilmember McCluskey, if I captured your intent correctly, by adding one word, explore the expansion of comprehensive tax exemptions for retired seniors. Would you feel that's necessary, I guess is my question. You had specifically mentioned you wanted a comprehensive look at tax. Do you want to add that word comprehensive in there? Or should we just let it ride as is?
Well, you probably, I had aggregate initially. But I think, if comprehensive, I wouldn't mind. We can add that to it.
So where are we?
Do we want?
Okay, so am I hearing that as an amendment, or I'm trying to decide if we just do this as an edit?
I think it's an edit.
Isn't it?
Edit?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, I think anybody object to the edit? I don't see it. All right. Go ahead.
I do object to any more changes other than the person that's going to make the motion.
All right. So, are we ready for the vote?
I don't hear a motion.
So far, so do you want the motion, you're asking for a motion to insert the word comprehensive in 3A?
Well, 3A, there's no motion. We just finished voting on 3B, and it stopped there.
Right, and now the primary motion has been amended. We've eliminated 3B.
You're talking about the primary motion of accepting all of this as it was, and then there was a subsequent motion to delete 3B. Now we're in 3A. I didn't hear a motion.
3A is included in the primary motion unless you want to.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Unless you want an amendment to change it or remove it. Or, do I have that right?
Well, somebody.
Right. You have that right. I thought you may have snuck the word comprehensive in there very quickly. If you feel the need to go through and bring a motion to insert the word comprehensive where indicated.
Are you talking about when
It's just an
Councilmember Glusky made the motion early on? Is that what you're talking about?
She doesn't need to make a motion.
So
I didn't.
who made the motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, yeah, you made the primary motion to adopt the resolution.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So we're talking about now amending. No, we're not talking about anything on A.
Right.
Right. So what's the vote that you're calling for?
I'm calling for the vote on the primary motion.
Okay.
The adoption of the resolution as now amended.
As amended,
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse
with
me.
one
Sure.
edit.
It's good, it's important to know what we're voting, which.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and so this is a vote on the primary motion as amended. We're going to do this one roll call. And Emma, if you'd proceed when you're ready.
Roll call on the main motion. Councilmember Keel.
Aye.
Councilmember Wood.
Aye.
Councilmember McCluskey.
Aye.
Councilmember Fleming.
Aye.
Councilmember Belisi.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa.
Aye.
Mayor Worthington.
Mayor Worthington, aye.
Vote result by 7 ayes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moves us on to our next item, accessory dwelling units, item number 9. And I believe Kevin Bursky is going to help us with this issue. And maybe, it's Kevin, but Kenneth may join us as well. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. For council consideration tonight, staff has prepared an ordinance that amends sections 19.70.010 and 1945.040 of the University Place Municipal Code relating to accessory dwelling units. We've got a short, about a 3-slide PowerPoint just to kind of go over the background and the proposal. Many of you are familiar with this as we've discussed this over the past several months. But back in December of 2021, the council passed a Housing Action Toolkit, and one of the recommendations out of the Housing Action Toolkit was to take a look at accessory dwelling unit regulations. The Planning Commission then, the City Council directed the Planning Commission to look at accessory dwelling units. Planning Commission proceeded to have 5 separate meetings on accessory dwelling units. They made a recommendation to the City Council on November 2nd of 2022. Those recommendations included things like increasing the size of the accessory dwelling units, removing the ownership requirement, and allowing potentially up to 2 accessory dwelling units in certain locations and increasing the height. Since the Planning Commission made their recommendation, the state legislature passed House Bill 1337. That is an accessory dwelling unit House bill that requires the city to come into compliance with that state law by the middle of 2025. Staff, starting back in June 14th, presented to the City Council both the Planning Commission's recommendations, the state laws requirements for sizes and numbers of ADUs, and also talked about our current regulations. We also discussed locations on where they can go, other factors that include critical areas, along with lot sizes, and the approximate number of accessory dwelling units that the city processes every year, which has been 2 to 3 accessory dwelling units over the last 10 years. A follow-up study session was held on August 7th, and then also again on November 6th. The proposed amendments that we have would be to allow 1 accessory dwelling units on lots that are smaller than the minimum lot size for the zone, allow 2 accessory dwelling units on residential lots that meet the minimum lot size for the zone, allow accessory dwelling units with the size maximum of up to 1,000 square feet, allow detached accessory dwelling units up to 24 feet in height, allow or remove the owner occupancy affidavit requirement. And those are all to comply with House Bill 1337 requirements. After the last study session, there was some discussion regarding parking, and there was discussions on kind of potentially 2 parking options. One parking option would be what is allowed under House Bill 1337. And House Bill 1337 allows the city to require 1 off-street parking stall per accessory dwelling unit on lots 6,000 square feet or smaller, and require 2 off-street parking spaces for accessory dwelling units on lots greater than 6,000 square feet. Staff has included in your proposal a second option for a slightly lesser requirement for parking on accessory dwelling units that are of a smaller size. And I will let Kenneth George go over that amendment.
Thank you very much. Hopefully not to complicate more procedures this evening for you, but there is the option here for these parking, as Director Brisky said, and Exhibit A, which is the maximum parking allowed by House Bill 1337. The lesser parking option was one that we discussed at the November meeting and went through a number of different possibilities there. From staff, we landed on the option of having no off-street parking required for a smaller ADU, and we put that number at 800 square feet, and that would allow for existing ADUs, because we currently do not require any parking for an existing ADU. Those would not be considered non-conforming. And then we heard that there was still a really good push to have more parking. So we would have no off-street parking for the smaller ADU, but for a second ADU on a property, which would be allowed by House Bill 1337, we would require off-street parking for the second ADU and off-street parking required for a larger ADU over 800 square feet. And those 2 requirements would be the exact same requirements as the first option there. This what the maximum parking required by the state would be. So the difference would be, if you can kind of tell, there's just the first bullet point there on the Amendment 1 option would be just no off-street parking for 1 ADU, 800 square feet or less. That'd be the lesser parking option.
And that concludes our staff report this time.
All right, thank you. With regards to so is the primary variable we're speaking to tonight the question of what the parking requirements are for the ADUs, or is there another variable there?
Sorry, Mayor, can you repeat that?
Sure. The proposed legislation has many changes, many things it does. But many of those items we've worked through some sort of general understanding in the study session process. The one remaining item is the ratio of parking to square footage ADU. I was just looking to confirm that with you.
Correct.
Okay. And excuse me for not recalling right offhand, how is the ordinance in our packet, how is that currently written? Which one of those options is in there?
The ordinance as written is with the option 1, Exhibit A, which is to require the parking, the maximum that is allowed by House Bill 1337, the 1 off-street parking space per ADU on lots 6,000 square feet or smaller, 2 off-street parking spaces per ADU on lots greater than 6,000 square feet.
Okay.
Amendment A to that is the lesser amount.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to see if we can focus, when the time comes, we'll be able to focus the discussion appropriately to the parking question, but we may not quite be ready for that at this point. procedurally I'm trying to figure out my map on how to move this through. Councilmember Fleming, would you like to start us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if this thing's working. But Kevin, I just need, for a point of clarification, we heard earlier tonight from one of our constituents is that they were already getting nailed by the code enforcement because they had a vehicle parked, quote, on city property, which was on-street parking. This amendment, I'm going to presume, because it says no off-street parking, which means that if you had an ADU, it's 800 square feet or smaller, someone's going to park on the street. So are we running into a conflict of our own policies with that?
Your statement is correct in that if there is no off-street parking required and the person who has the ADU potentially has a vehicle, they would potentially park that on the street or on the side of the right-of-way, or maybe they would provide the off-street parking. It would leave whoever built the accessory dwelling unit the option. It doesn't prevent them from putting in a parking stall if they wanted to.
Right, but who's going to invest in that if you don't have to, and then park on the street, and then we're going to have code enforcement going after them. I'm concerned when we create conflicting laws for the city, and I'm just throwing it out there for some thought and consideration. So I'm having a little difficult time with that one, but I appreciate the presentation and I appreciate the information too. So thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa.
Yeah, Mayor. Well, thank you, Councilmember Fleming, because that was the point I want to get to, and I don't think we're there. I'm not there with the answer, and because we had like you said, the testimony about on-street parking that was claimed that it's illegal to park on public street. So I'm really confused how that's going to work with any of this if we're citing people to park on that. And maybe that was incorrect, and maybe that didn't really happen, but we need to figure that out, and we have to have that information before I can vote in this, because for me to say you can park on the street and we're given citations, if that was true tonight, then we got a major conflict here. So help me out.
Sure. If I may, the subject that we had brought up in public comments actually did not involve an ADU. It was a regularly permitted structure, at least as described. So it wasn't really about ADUs. They mentioned an ADU that the neighbor may be proposing, but that really isn't the point of conflict in their situation.
But it's about parking on the street, right. Whether there's an ADU or not, is about parking on the street. So is it illegal to park on the street or not? I mean, I see people do that all the time. Up and down my street, tons of streets full of cars parked on public right-of-way. So I'm really now confused because I never thought that was illegal.
Correct. To my knowledge, we allow on-street parking as long as you're not obstructing the drivable surface, impeding emergency vehicles, and so forth.
Okay, so what we heard was not a complete story as far as being cited for parking on the street. There was something else to that. Okay. So I think that helps somewhat. So let's be clear here, and just so we put this on the record. There's nothing against folks parking on public street as long as they're not impeding someone's driveway or alley or traffic, correct?
Generally,
yes.
That's accurate.
Okay. So we're okay here. Okay.
So, Councilmember McCluskey, followed by Councilmember Fleming.
Mayor,
Okay.
you skipped me.
Councilmember Wood after that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. I just want to clarify a little more. Now, House Bill 1337, this is what we need to satisfy that, and we're mandated to do that for option 1. The amendment is more lenient. So that amendment, does that go to the other, I can't remember the name of that, number of that House bill, but is that in compliance with that House bill that's coming up, 1110? Or is this,
The House Bill 1337, so the
Yes, so
ADU
this
House
is-
bill,
right. Okay.
it allows you to require parking up to the amount proposed in ours, but it also does give flexibility to the council to require a lesser amount if they
Right,
they
right.
choose. I would have to look a little more in more detail on House Bill 1110
Okay.
on that for the parking allowances
Okay.
there.
Okay. Because I know when one of our staff meetings, we were talking about that sweet spot of what the transition that we were going to be looking at as a council. So I would, so thank you for answering that.
Councilmember Fleming.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I'm going to. Because when I asked my question earlier, and Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa followed up on that, I thought I heard that it is illegal to park on the street, on the public right-of-way. Now I'm hearing that it may not be, or it could be, but it may not be. I need some real clarification of what our city ordinance says with regards to parking and what it, whether there's specific exceptions to that, like blocking whatever street or whatever that is. Because if we're going to go down that pathway, then we need to insert that language into this amendment so that they're both consistent, if that makes any sense with that. So I'm not, as the Mayor Pro Tem said, I am not ready to jump on this until we have some clarification of what that really means. Because if we go ahead and approve an ADU with no parking requirement, I really don't want to hear a citizen come in here later and say, hey, you're giving me a ticket because I have nowhere else to park, because we created the problem with that. So just, give that one some thought. Are we talking just about one amendment, or can we comment on the others, or ask questions on
We can ask questions on the scope of the ordinance.
Okay. So, if I can jump to the other proposed amendment on the 1 ADU for a lot size less than the minimum lot size. So the minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet?
It's 9,000 square feet in the R1 zone, which is the majority of the city. We do have a smaller portion of the city, mostly in the eastern portion. That is a 6,000 square foot minimum lot size.
Okay. Do we know what the average size of the houses are on those lots?
Not off the top of my head. No.
Okay. So if you've got a 6,000 square foot lot and you've got a 4,000 square foot home, and then you add another ADU, can we really do that?
I would consider it unlikely. You still have your other constraints on the lots that you have to deal with. We have our building heights, we have our building setbacks. You've got a lot of other factors that come into play on whether or not you are able to fit that. However, this isn't just detached accessory dwelling units. You might convert a basement. We see that as well, where somebody converts a basement and adds a kitchen, and it's in the same footprint and square footage of the existing structure.
So on an ADU that's less than the minimum lot size, do we need to be more clear or specific on what we're thinking? Because I like your example, and it makes sense. But to have a separate dwelling on a lot size that small?
And the thought there was actually going to Councilmember McCluskey's comment regarding compliance with House Bill 1110.
Mm-hmm.
So with House Bill 1110, the city is going to be required to allow 2 dwelling units on every lot.
Regardless of size?
Regardless of lot size.
Oh.
So, but one of those can be the state allows an accessory dwelling unit to count towards that. So the thought there by allowing an accessory dwelling unit, at least one on any lot, was that takes a huge step in getting into compliance with House Bill 1110. It allows you to also kind of mitigate the impacts of 1110 because you're limiting the square footage of that second unit to the accessory dwelling unit size. So that was the approach from staff's as presenting to council was to take a step towards compliance with House Bill 1110 and also mitigate some of the impacts of that with the size that would be allowed.
Okay, with that said, I like it, but I'm going to push a little harder. To do that on these smaller lot sizes, can we be more specific if we said that ADU had to be within the footprint of the existing residence? Can we get away with that?
House Bill 1110 and 1337 says they have to be either allowed as attached or detached units.
I really don't like the legislature when they do those kind of things, but I get it. But thank you. Okay.
Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I think a point of clarification, if I remember what Ms. Hunter said in her statement, she was parked on a public right-of-way, she's parked on a city right-of-way. I believe some land that was in between her next to her property that the city owned. I think that was a point of clarification. I don't know how that affects parking, but that's what I heard. I hope that was correct. My question is for the Amendment 1 area, you mentioned that if we don't pass that, potentially some existing ADUs could become non-conforming. What does non-conforming mean in practice? Do they have to tear them down? Do they have to put in parking? Or is it just they're grandfathered in and they're considered non-conforming?
Yeah, currently we allow accessory dwellings at 600 square feet, and we do not require parking for that accessory dwelling unit. So some that have been built, some have provided parking, some haven't, and so the ones that do not would be considered non-conforming at that point. However, there would be no they would fall under our non-conforming regulations. They wouldn't have to tear them down. They wouldn't have to do anything. If they, for some reason, wanted to, if it was 600 and they were able to go larger, then we would potentially require them to come into conformance with whatever the parking standard is at that point. If they were, to completely tear it down and rebuild something, then they would have to come into compliance with the current law, but they would not be forced to come into compliance. They would be considered grandfathered.
Okay, so code enforcement wouldn't be showing up on their doorstep with some kind of penalty in mind?
No.
Got it. Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Thank you, Councilmember Wood. I'm going to pose a question as well here. Help me recall, if you would, please, the Planning Commission recommendation that was related to this. What was the recommendation?
Their recommendation, Kenneth, jump in if I missed one, but basic recommendation was to go up to 800 square feet, allow potentially 2 ADUs in certain instances, to go to a 21-foot height limit where the state is 24, and to eliminate the ownership requirement.
Okay, and with regards to parking, there was no parking up to, was it 800 square feet?
They did not, to go into the 800 square feet, they did not recommend adding parking.
Okay, just wanted to get that back on the table. We have had 3 previous study sessions, I think it is, on this, and it has a lot of detail to it. We also have the Planning Commission recommendation that was done in the absence of 110 being HB 1110.
1337.
Or what? I'm sorry, what?
1337.
1337, and the companion piece. What's that one?
The ADU housing one. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes. My point was just the Planning Commission didn't have the constraint at the time of the state legislation, which we now have. And our overarching theme here has been let's try and find a way to bring the Planning Commission's work and adjust it to the current requirements, the new requirements, and be able to move this on. And so that's kind of just as a reminder where we are. And we do have the Planning Commission guidance to help us here too. What other clarifying questions do we have? Do you want to move to public comment and then discussion? Let's do that then. I would invite the public to come up. And if you have any comments.
Point of order.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
We need motion.
We need a motion. I keep doing that. I want to have comment before motion.
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa makes a motion to pass an ordinance.
I think you need a new mayor. That's what I think. Okay.
That's okay. To pass an ordinance amending sections 19.70.010 and 19 .45.040 of the University Place Municipal Code relating to accessory dwelling units.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate that. Is there a second?
Councilmember Belisi, I second.
Thank you, Councilmember Lisi. Hard at work to the end.
Yeah.
And so we have a motion and a second. The adoption of the ordinance is in front of us, and we've had a chance to get clarification. Now an opportunity for public comment. Gentlemen, if you want to make some space available to the public, we'll invite them up and see if they have any comments they would like to make. Is there a member of the public here that would like to comment on this action before council moves to consideration, so we can hear what your thoughts are? Any members of the public there? Please, sir. And if you would please start by stating your name, and we'd like to hear your address too, if possible.
Yeah, my name is Dan Putnam. I reside at 6507 84th Avenue Court West. And I would just, Mr. Mayor and council members, I'd like to just speak in support of this ordinance. I'm conflicted. I'm actually one of the folks in University Place that has built an ADU under the 600 square foot requirement. I wish I could have done it just a little bit bigger. I am conflicted because my purposes were for family purposes, for aging parents, a way to have that extra dwelling unit. I have a larger lot. And I know a lot of this will be used more almost from a business enterprise thing. And so I get that confliction there. But with all of that said, and I know your staff has done a good job in researching this to the nth degree, then you have the constraints with the state that you have to deal with. So I think they've done a good job in trying to balance all those things. I just would say I'm in support of passing this ordinance. And I'll probably expand my 600 square foot unit maybe to the 800 or 1,000 now that I can do that, so to get a little more elbow room. But anyway, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Putnam. I appreciate you taking time to comment. Any other members of the public that would like to make comment? Anyone else here tonight? And Emmy, anyone online? Okay. All right. We're going to end our public comment, move on to discussion and consideration. So, Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was all set to support this initiative, but I won't, only because I like the First Amendment. I don't like the Second Amendment for the reasons we've been talking about with that off-street parking. I think it lacks clarity at this time. And so the motion on the floor, though, was to, or did I miss a point?
Yeah, this is what you want.
Yeah.
So don't oppose it.
No, I like that one.
Yeah, that's in the ordinance.
This one is not.
I thought the motion was for the Second Amendment. So thank you for that clarity, and I'll withdraw my comment.
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa, followed by Councilmember Keel.
Mayor, thank you, and I believe it's time for us to pass this. We've done quite a bit of study sessions. We've had some very detailed information from the Planning Commission as well as us individually with our own interests, understanding the bills that have been passed, and then tripping the staff into helping us. I say trip because I think we threw a lot of questions at you just to see if you come up with the same answer. And you did a very fine job. I think that I'm clear, Councilmember Fleming, on the parking.
So am I now.
Yeah, I'm really clear on that, and so I'm satisfied. And I think it's that we should support this. I recommend we support this and move on because we have, as you all know, other complicated areas of housing that we're going to be addressing this coming year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Are there other comments? Councilmember Keel, excuse me, you're on the list. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I want to thank staff for the work that they've done. My comments are similar to Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa. We did talk about this a lot, and the very first discussion was a little bumpy, a lot bumpy, and you guys have come back and responded to our questions. I think what is proposed is exactly my recollection of the last study session that we had and what we kind of had head nods around what was comfortable with us. And to me, this is exactly what we talked about. So I appreciate you hearing us and putting it together the way that it is. I do want to put a comment in about the state legislature. Goofy is the word that I come up with some of the things that we're having to deal with the cities. And I appreciate...
Excuse me, Councilmember Keel, can you move your mic a little closer to you?
Really? Can't be heard? Is that better?
Better.
Okay.
Can't
All
hear
right.
you at this end.
Oh, okay.
Start over.
No.
All right. Usually I'm told, like, be quiet, but well, I apologize. So I was just going to say that with all the, in my term, my estimation, goofiness around these issues that are coming from the state legislature and us having to deal with it, I think you guys handled it very well, and you gave us what we talked about and what we asked for. So I appreciate it. I'm going to be very much in support of this work, and I hope that the citizens in our town understand it and embrace it and use it, for their betterment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Keel. Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. Just first to make sure I 100% understand what I'm voting on. If we vote on this as the legislation is written, we'd be supporting Ordinance Exhibit A, and Amendment 1 would not be under consideration or would not be part of the initial vote, correct?
I'm going to turn to the parliamentarian. I think that's a better answer.
Amendment 1 is not part of the legislation. You either have Exhibit A or Exhibit A Amendment 1, but the motion has phrase does not involve Exhibit 1. To follow with your screen, it's the version on the left.
Got it. Thank you. That was my first question. And then second, just a comment. I was concerned about creating existing ADUs as non-conforming. I am a lot less concerned about that right now. So with that consideration, I don't think we need to go to Amendment 1 at this time, at least in my personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments before we move to a vote? I'm not seeing any. We're going to do a roll call vote, and we'll take this issue on.
Councilmember Keel?
Aye.
Councilmember Wood?
Aye.
Councilmember McCluskey?
Aye.
Councilmember Fleming?
Aye.
Councilmember Belisi?
My final vote, aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa?
I am so happy I.
But you're not sure.
And Mayor Worthington?
Mayor Worthington, aye.
Vote result 7-0.
Very good. Ordinance passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Nice work, guys.
It has been a long journey. I think staff has helped us make that journey well and keep us informed, and it's a complex issue. Thank you for doing that. And we're going to be in compliance with the legislature over the near term. So. Well, Mr. Sugg, I believe that you're next up. Do I have that right?
I have a report tonight, a special guest. To the west of us on Grandview Drive, I think you all know, and the community and visitors know it alike, there's a jewel of a park called Current Orchard. And we have tonight here with us the tour leader for the Current Orchard Resource Enthusiast, a group that's been in existence since 1995, here to tell you about it. So I'm going to invite up Jill Worthington.
So, Mrs. Worthington, if you would like to come up and have a chair, and please keep the mic close to you. We're certainly interested in hearing what's going on with your report from the core group.
Is she going to give us her name and address, too?
Yes, Jill Worthington, and I live with the mayor at 6912 53rd Street West.
Now, that could be a scandal.
Okay. Mayor Worthington and UP council members, beginning in 1995, members of the Current Orchard Resource Enthusiast Volunteer Group, aka CORE, have helped to maintain the Current Orchard along with sponsoring significant community events for all ages to enjoy. We are pleased to provide you with an update of this past year's activities. Adopt a Tree program. There were 103 adoptions by the community this past year out of 200 plus trees. The adoptions often include fairly new residents as well as long-term adopters. All adoption revenues go toward orchard maintenance. Pruning parties. CORE sponsored 4 pruning parties which involved on-hands instruction by master gardeners and trained volunteers to help maintain the orchard. Several volunteers also came on their own time to help prune trees. Corps volunteers also created more than 200 wooden personalized tree tags, along with hauling branches, pulling weeds, and spreading bark chips. Orchard maintenance activities included hiring a professional arborist to reduce tree height on 42 trees, offering a free insect management class, purchasing and hanging apple maggot and codling moth traps throughout the orchard, monitoring insect activity, windfall pickup, contracting for 7,000 plus mason bees to assist with pollination, thinning the apples, cleaning vandalism at the horse statue. Summer concerts. Corps partnered with the City of University Place by paying for 5 bands for the summer concert series. Cider squeeze. Due to a lack of volunteers and availability of cider presses, Corps made the difficult decision to cancel our annual cider squeeze and replace it with a volunteer adopters-only event. Although it was a scaled-down version, it was a great success and enabled adopters the opportunity to enjoy freshly squeezed cider. Community Harvest Day. In lieu of the annual cider squeeze, Corps sponsored a Community Harvest Day, inviting the community to come and harvest apples. It was a huge success. Hundreds of people came out with their families to pick apples and just enjoy the orchard. It also gave Corps volunteers the opportunity to share information about the park, as well as encouraging people to participate in future events. Tours. Our school tours were also incredibly popular, with 20 tours over a 4-week period. This year's participants included 458 children and 327 adults. Barn renovation. The current barn was originally built in the 1950s with a renovation several years ago. After identifying several significant issues, Corps volunteers zeroed in on one project and spent 3 days this fall to replace siding, caulk, and paint on the front side of the barn. Windfalls and harvesting. Due to the limited number of volunteers, it is often difficult to clean up all the windfalls, as well as harvest all of the trees. This year, we were pleased for the first time to partner with Pierce County Gleaners, which helped us avoid a large amount of waste, along with preventing future insect problems due to windfalls. According to the Gleaners, they collected 1,615 pounds of apples at our cider squeeze. 147 pounds went to Food is Free Tacoma, a nonprofit providing equitable access to free, healthy, locally produced food. 797 pounds of apples to a local cidery. 671 pounds of mash to a local farmer for his livestock. Gleaners also returned in early November to harvest 755 pounds of apples from unpicked trees, which were distributed then to a local cidery and Fort Nisqually, and 471 pounds of windfalls, which went to local farmers and their livestock. We could not accomplish all of these activities without our wonderful Corps committee, tree adopters, and community service folks, including Curtis High School students, members of the LDS Church, UP Community School District Transition Program, and others. This year, we tracked more than 953 volunteer hours through mid-October to maintain the orchard and coordinate activities. We know there are many more untracked hours, but we can say for sure it is a labor of love. Thank you for your past support, and we look forward to working with the city to continue making the current apple orchard an incredible experience for everyone. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mrs. Worthington. Great. Mr. Sag, appreciate you making time on the agenda. I don't know if council has any questions or not, but it's your time, not mine.
That's my report. That's my report. The report that you just heard from Jill.
Thank you. Councilmember McCluskey, did you have a question?
Not really a question, but I just want to thank you and the Corps for your amazing work to keep this living orchard and park alive and growing. It's historical, it's beautiful, and you can certainly tell your love and passion of this group to continue that support and partnership with the City of University Place. So thank you. It's unique. It's a really unique park in the entire state as well. So I'm glad it's here in University Place, and it's a growing concern. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Keel.
Great, thank you. Not a question either, more a statement along. Councilman McCluskey, I remember 12 years ago, first coming onto this council, we had a lot of discussions about the orchard, and it was some difficult discussions. The barn was in disrepair. The home was as well. There was somebody living in it, and it was, we got to remodel it and do all the stuff, and who was going to take care of it. So I just really want to thank CORE for stepping up and doing all the things that you just went through. Without you, it wouldn't be where it is today. And so I just want you to know that it's not going unnoticed, and we certainly much appreciate all the work that you guys do there every day. And my last comment, there were a lot of pounds of apples. You were 700, 400, and 600. That many apples come out of the orchard?
They do,
I mean,
yes. Yeah, well,
that's a couple
we're
thousand
unable to
pounds of
thin
apple.
all the trees. You're supposed to take about half the apples off the tree so that what remains can grow large. We don't have the capacity to necessarily do that, so we have lots of apples out there, and they fall like crazy from the unadopted trees. And so, yes, we produce, and this was a very good year this year.
Yeah, I had no clue. Thousands of pounds of apples.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you, Mrs. Worthington. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate hearing about the comments and the good work the Corps is doing. So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk later.
I bet you will.
All right. Well, I've had my fun there, but we're going to we're going to move on to council member comments, and that takes us, I believe, to Councilmember Keel to start that process.
I just want to say thank you again to everyone in this room and to the citizens. Thank you for your belief in me these last 3 cycles to represent you. I hope that that I did some things that you were pleased with, that bettered the city, that made your lives in our city better. I feel really good about the work that this council has done, and I just want to thank you all, my colleagues as well. Thank you for your camaraderie and discussions, the good ones and the tough ones we had. So I appreciate that, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Keel. Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of comments here real quick. First, December 15th, there is the next climate conversation meeting that I'll be attending. The primary focus of discussion is going to be on electrical vehicle planning for the county and also potential grant opportunities. If there's any questions or thoughts or comments you want me to bring up at that meeting, please get with me or send me an email or something, and I'll take care of that. Second comment is, I understand, I was informed earlier today that we got a grant to start the process of putting in a roundabout at 36th Street and Grandview, which was to address those traffic issues that were there. And I want to point out to everybody that started with public comment. People were very concerned about the safety of the intersection actually at 35th and Grandview, but this was the solution that the city came up with to help address the issues. And I just think it's amazing that it got that far that fast.
It did.
So, and then third, I'd just like to say it's been an honor to serve with you, Caroline, and you, Kent. Thank you for your mentorship and friendship, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember McCluskey.
Okay, thank you. I would like to thank Councilmember Keel for his service and to lifting the city into, let's see, regional, state, national, working on some of the hardest boards, the transit boards, Sound Transit, Pierce Transit, during some tenuous times as well. So I'm sure, and also to protecting the four corners and naming the four corners.
Yes.
So that, you know, what wouldn't be developed there. So I, as a citizen, really appreciate all that work you're doing, had done, and I know you'll continue to support and do things as a little brandy elf in the city, you know, marching forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
And my friend, Caroline Belisi, I've been partners on some commissions, committees, and even though at times we didn't see eye to eye, we have some pretty deep and, you know, I'd say animated discussions in regards to certain things. And I wanted to appreciate that you helped me be a better council member at times. Gave me a sounding board for reflection, and I will certainly miss that going forward. Of course, you have my phone number, and I'm sure I'll be getting some phone calls coming my way. But I also would like to thank you for all the years and years of service that you had prior to our city becoming a city up until now. I mean, wow, that's quite a tenure. And you kept sticking it out, working hard for the Citizens University Place, evolving the citizens into a place that they can love and cherish and appreciate. So you can look back and see people moving about the city, the parks, and know that you had a part of it. So thank you for your service as well. I would, I have to also say, Councilmember Keel, I'm going to lose my partnership as a Cowboy fan. You and I are the only Cowboy fans, right? Yeah, you know, no one to talk about the boys with anymore, right? But my second love is the Seahawks, too. So,
Oh, okay.
yes. Cowboys go back into my family blood. I had attend the Zoo Trek Authority meeting, and they passed all our sales taxes being used wisely. And even though the zoo's attendance is a little down, they're hoping that by the end of the year, with zoo lights and things, that it'll be back on track again. So if you don't forget the zoo, make sure you go to Zoo Lights to push them over the edge for 2023 in their attendance. And I have to say, the tree lighting event was the best ever. Kids got their crafts done, and the balloons that were lit and all the little lit up toys and the flashing Christmas tree pins, they were a huge hit. People were running around, even in the rain, smiling. There you go. Councilmember Spelling is wearing his. He's still blinking.
There you go.
So I would like to give your staff and commend Marian for all of her creativity and thought, because every year, you know, I'm thinking, well, it could be the same as last year, but it's not. It's always different. It's always better. It's always unique. So thank you for ending the year on a really high note.
I had nothing to do with the reindeer showing up, but I'm
I thought that
happy
was a
they
great
were.
touch. And Santa arrived on time, which was great. I also would like to thank the staff and our police for doing all their work for our community throughout the year. And I'm looking forward to another amazing year working with an amazing staff that's professional, that's intelligent, creative, and looks out for our quality of life with health and well-being. So thank you all.
Thank you, Councilmember McCluskey. Very well said. Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Councilmember McCluskey read my notes. I'm just going to hide them like this from now on.
Yes, I did. That's why I said what I said.
I just want to begin with saying, Jill, thank you for an awesome report. I think, you know, when I look at the evolution of the current apple orchard and everything that goes on there, it is truly a very special place in University Place. what most people may not know, that was the very first park in University Place. We accepted that from the county on September 30th of 1995. I still remember the day when we had a ceremony out there. But it's a great place for families and for anyone who wants to just come to a beautiful place and space in our city. So thank you for what Corey does and everything that goes on out there. That's awesome. I also wanted to thank the staff for what I considered a truly outstanding job at the tree lighting. As Councilmember McCluskey said, it was the best of the best yet. So I can't wait to see what y'all come up with next year. But that was great. It was just watching just individuals interacting with one another. I mean, that's what community is all about. And just watching that take place from one end of the pavilion down through the promenade and the whole bit, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And I too just want to thank the staff and the citizens for just a phenomenal year that we've had here in the city. Just watching things come together. Certainly we've had our debates here at council, lively as some of them may have been. I think all in all we've had just a tremendous year, and that really has to do with what our staff does behind the scenes to make that all happen. And then lastly, both to Councilmember Belisi and Keel, you guys will be missed on the dais for the wisdom that you bring and the comments that you have. And more important, just thanks for the contributions you made to University Place in making this city a better place for all. So thank you for your service. Thank you.
Very good. And Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa, excuse me, Councilmember Belisi. Why do I keep
I'm
doing
not
that?
calling yet.
Just skip over
At least there won't be a name problem between myself and Councilmember McCluskey when I'm gone. So
that's right.
There's an added benefit there. I just wanted to comment and thank the citizens that came out on Friday for the tree lighting. It was kind of a miserable evening, but yet we managed to have a ton of people out there enjoying themselves. It was a lot of fun, and the efforts that staff and our event coordinator and music coordinator did were just fabulous. And it was really enjoyable, and I'm now officially into the Christmas mood, even though I've had my decorations up since the day after, since Black Friday. I'm into the Christmas spirit now, and it's a great way to go. I failed earlier to thank staff and this council for the last 13 years. Staff for definitely a lot longer, since I've been on the Planning Commission since '95. Without the assistance of staff, there's no way that any of us could do the job that we do. It's a tough job. There's lots of legal ramifications for decisions we make, a lot of laws and other outside entities and organizations that we have to keep in our mind as we're going through making the decision, trying to find the best solution that will fit for our city. And staff has always been very cordial and willing to answer questions and make sure that we up here look the best that we can and are knowledgeable about the decisions we make. And I'm going to miss that. I won't be going away, so I've got everybody's phone numbers. I will be calling when there are issues and concerns that I have to make sure that we continue the trajectory that we have done since we incorporated in '95, and that the citizens of our community will continue to be the #1 priority for council. As far as council, I am going to miss Monday nights. I may not have agreed with all of you on council, but that is a good thing. We have differing views, although we may have similar values in that we want to make the best decision for our community and for our citizens. We have different approaches. I've not always been in agreement with it, but it has ended up in a product that is a good product. And it will take me some time, but I will be one of those watching on on TV, either Tuesday night instead of Monday night, but I will be keeping up with you, and I hope that each of you will call when you do have questions or concerns, or you would like me to advocate for something. Please do feel free to call me. I am still a citizen of this community and do plan to stay active in the community. But I wish you lots of luck in 2024 and in the future. And it's been the most pleasant and greatest experience I could have ever had. So thank you, everybody.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman Polisi. Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa.
Well, at the end of the year, I can just just thinking back to the beginning of the year and what we had in front of us to finish, to complete, and to move things. And I think that, we think about a workout. We definitely get a mental workout, to a certain degree, a physical workout, and certainly an emotional workout. And a lot of things have happened, big things have happened in this city because of the decisions and the participation that we've all had in one way or another. And I think it reflects, our citizens reflect on maybe we don't see them here. That doesn't bother me too much because I know for sure, not only here, but in many other cities, they show up if they're not happy. And they really do. Or the phones are ringing or the emails, the computers are just full of emails. That I haven't heard much except for a couple of instances. And short of council making bad decisions, it was just other odd things that happened. I'm really proud of what the staff and the council have been able to accomplish in what I consider a short period of 1 year. And I think the citizens are too. You hear the compliments during the events, Duck Parade, the Saturday night movie night out, even the Christmas festivities just the other night. Even with not so great weather, all I never heard one negative comment, not one. And I get around, it's just like all of you did, and I listen, and all I could hear is, this is great, this is fun. Nobody was complaining about cold, nobody was complaining about being rainy, and certainly they were just having fun, and that's all I heard. And it says a lot for not only the council but the staff that prepares things in a way that can be enjoyed by the public. So I really am happy for what we did, and I'm looking forward for 2024 because most of us, as we know, there's a lot of work to be done this year, some heavy lifting to be done this year, and some heavy decisions to be done this year. And so I'm looking forward to that, and especially with our new 2 council members, it's going to be very enlightening and helpful to bring some fresh perspectives to some of what we've been thinking about. So I'm looking forward to that. I do want to say that, when Ms. Worthington came up as a volunteer of one of our major parks under CORE, volunteerism has been a major part of why we have what we have. And in the year with this report was excellent, but we've seen Chris Saunders and her effort with her team with the Cirque Park improvements. We've seen the veterans with the Veterans Plaza finishing off, and look at what has happened to date and the gatherings there. And we can just go down in everything that's been done with volunteers. I see volunteers picking up trash down the streets and doing things that we don't even know. I just drive around and there they are, they pop up. So when you see those kind of things, people don't do that unless, like Councilmember Keel said, and that is, I love my city. How that comes about is really surprising. Why there's so many things, so many variables, and I think that our citizens are there right along with you. They just love this city. And I was shopping at Fred Meyer's just about 2 days ago, and this little girl actually, I was picking up one of those plastic bags that you put, vegetables, whatever, and you can't open it up. And this little girl, about 6 years old, and she says, "May I help you?" I said, "You mean opening the bag?" She says, "Yeah, I can do that for you." And I look, and she was with her grandma, and I said, "Is that okay?" And she says, "Yes, she wants to do that for you." I said, "Okay." So she did, just like in 2 seconds, But then I asked her, I says, "You folks live here in UP?" She says, "No, I live in Lakewood." I said, "Oh, shopping over here." I said, "That's great." She says, "Oh, I shop here all the time. Either go to one of the stores, Safeway or on 40th. She said, "I feel really safe shopping in UP," quote unquote. And I was just like, I love UP, so that made me feel real good. And I did introduce myself to her, and she says, "Oh, well, I do watch you." I said, "You look familiar," but she says, "I do watch you guys once in a while, but I really am happy that I'm so close to UP." That was the other quote that just caught my attention. "I'm really happy that I'm close to UP." So I can imagine all the people for Crestfield, right? So, but it was that, and she says, it's just clean, lights. I love the park. I mean, she's just like rattling on just a little list of things that she liked. I said, it was just like, really, I wanted to invite her here and just say that to everybody. But anyway, I experienced that just 2 days ago. And so it sure ends my year really well about the work that I do. We have our ups and downs about how we feel. And sometimes we get punched by each other. And sometimes we get punched by the public. Sometimes by staff. Not too much. But for the right reasons. But I think we take it and we move on because we love our city, but overall there's more positive and more good things that happen than not, and that's a good thing. In closing, I certainly want to say thank you to all my peers for everything they do. It takes a little bit of everybody to get everything done, but I certainly want to thank Kent and Caroline for the heavy lifting that they did through the years. In so many different ways. They didn't do anything kind of the same thing, but if you look at what they did, they were always doing different things, just like all of us. And that's what has helped us all get things accomplished. Certainly, Kent, you've been stellar at being able to lift UP's name up at the national level, at the state level. When I felt the same way being on the PSRC with all these other large cities and counties, and and when you take a leadership role, they notice, and they and I think what we represent is we really do represent some veterans in here with a lot of knowledge and experience, which what you and Caroline have given us, and we're going to miss that. We certainly will, especially Caroline, that 28 years between the Planning Commission and here, 28 years. All I can say is wow, Caroline. Just a big wow. Thank you. And I remember when many times you provided input from previous planning issues that we were going through and provided some feedback and some, why did this happen and so forth, and which was very helpful. And so we're going to miss that. We really will. So that Planning Commission and staff are going to have to step up in helping us. And because you provided that crucial role with that. So thank you both. I know that both of you are concrete embedded in UP. So I know you're not going anywhere. You're solidly a UPian. I just made that up. No, so I think that we're going to see you. You're obviously well established here, and we'll see you, I know, many times in one way or another and at certain capacities. And so I look forward to seeing your family face and your participation whenever you can with our city. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate that. I have a few comments as well, and then we'll get to the end of our meeting. A few things to touch on. One of which is, you heard earlier tonight that we have a Transportation Improvement Board grant that was just recently awarded. Some more details about that. That's for 36th rather, and Grandview. It's about $677,000. I guess I could look at my notes to get it right, but $664,000. And it leaves the city share of about $166,000 for that roundabout. Certainly, I think it's been a while since we've had a TIB grant, but they're very competitive, and it's going to help our community move forward quite a bit in its traffic improvements and such. So glad that Jack and his team of engineers and the rest of the city staff and Mr. Sugg and the team you put together, it's a great demonstration showing us what that we can compete and win the awards to help our citizens make the roads better here. It also does sidewalks and street lights too, if I remember right, but yes.
Jack had to go to another meeting, so he sends his regrets, but I said I would definitely cover. I know something about that project. I spoke to Councilmember Wood about 9 months ago or so, and I would never have guessed that we would have now received, just a few days ago, a notice of grant award from initial contact from a council member who received a call from a citizen concerned about the safety of an intersection at 35th and Grandview, because we had some severe crashes at that location over the past year, to now where the mayor's announcing the $664,000 TIB grant. We do provide a city match, but it's 80% of that cost of that project is going to be funded by State Transportation Improvement Board. That grant application, what Jack had me go down and sign it because it was just enough, just in time, one Friday afternoon, and then it was off to send it off that evening to TIB. And he had a team of people himself, plus a team of people in the engineering office that put that. It was a multifaceted application. And if you'll bear with me, I think we have a visual of what it may look like. So Amanda's going to put that up.
Okay, good.
So this is at 36th and Grandview, and by the way, there's no homes being taken out.
That's the first thing we're all looking at.
Yep. You look at all the rooftops; they still remain in place.
Yeah.
We have sufficient right-of-way there to put a single-lane modern roundabout, similar to what exists at Olympic and Grandview, our very first one, further down the line. And what this will do is create a slowdown point, a traffic calming, if you will, along Grandview, to give the folks that are crossing at 35th Street a chance to get out onto the stream of traffic on Grandview. It's going to accomplish many things, and not only just slowing traffic down, but it's going to provide that U-turn capability for all those folks that drop their kids off at Curtis Junior High School, and they got to head in a different direction. They're not having to work their way through the neighborhoods. Many different facets. Our police department, it'll work for them. It'll work for the fire department. It'll work for everyone. So we're excited about it. I'm proud to say that I was here in soon after the city was incorporated. Just the nearby roundabout was the first in Washington State. We proved the concept in Washington State here in University Place, and I believe this is our 8th roundabout. Now you can see them everywhere, but someone had to do it first. UP's a lot of doing things first. And thank you, Councilmember Wood, for that phone call. Got things started. I met with Jack, and we talked about different concepts, and he said, I think we can do something here. And then they wrote it up, submitted the application, and here we are, $664,000 grant. A detail design starts in January of 2024, and I believe that's next month. We believe that we can anticipate construction starting in January of 2025. This is, like I said, the speed at which all of this is happening astounds me, and I've been involved in a lot of projects where we turn things around quick. Something this significant is amazing. So, Mayor, thank you for that opportunity to explain that, and I wish Jack was here, but he had some business to attend to. I guess this is, we believe that this could have real safety impacts on that street, which is what we have been about. This is what University Place started about safety. It was about street safety. It was about street lights. It was about improving the quality of life, but first of all, getting a handle on the public rights of way, which the city, that is our biggest asset. We have all these public rights of ways, and little by little, 50 miles of sidewalk, 50 miles of bike lanes. The network continues to be developed, and we look at ways that we can make it safer and pleasant to negotiate our city streets. So with that, I'll yield the floor back to the mayor. So thank you.
Thank you for the details, Mr. Sugg. Appreciate that. And again, good job to you and your team. And yeah, it really does show also what the different way citizen comment can lead to some significant change, amazingly quick in this case. Appreciate TIB, Transportation Improvement Board's participation in that. A couple of other things I wanted to touch on in the minutes that remain. One is Councilmember Fleming and Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa both mentioned about volunteerism. One of the gentlemen that spoke tonight, Mr. Fox, is a volunteer in our parks. And so he does quite a bit of cleanup and looks after people's safety and helps them with a variety of projects. So I appreciate his volunteerism. And it comes in lots of different ways. But a good example of how that makes a difference in a community. Two other things. One fairly minor, but I feel like I want to mention it. Tonight is the last meeting that I'll be acting as regular mayor. My mayoral term ends. At least this will be the last meeting. I'm gaveling out here in a moment. But it's been a pleasure. I'll probably talk more about that in our January meeting. But kind of get ready for that transition. And we'll, I think, have a chance to say a couple of words there. But much more important and much more of a landmark, I think, is the departure of our two council members that have had over a dozen or more years making their community better. I've had the pleasure of working with them for each about 10 and a half, 11 years perhaps, 10 regardless. The point, though, is it's really been a partnership, and I really have enjoyed working with each of you. Somebody said it a little earlier that, Kent brought some things and Caroline brought some things, and indeed that is the case. And it is who we are today, and to get today we've done some amazing things as one council. And I am always proud to be with any of you, and always as this council. You've done a great job. I know there's going to be another rendition, another iteration, another evolution from this council, because that's what happens. That's the cycle we're in, and thank goodness it does. But I want to celebrate and recognize what we've and you have each added to the personality of our community, and thank you so much for that. It to me has been quite astounding and amazing, and I've been very blessed to be part of that with you. We're going to miss you. We expect to see you back here, so don't go far, and come back when you have a hankering to, or we'll call you up and give you something to get excited about. So again, thank you very much, both of you. It's been my pleasure to be part of this. With that, I'm going to, I guess, gavel out my last meeting for regular meeting. The new person will get that later on. But we're adjourned.